My name is Lise Jackson, 28 years old, paramedic. On February 8th, 2026, I collapsed at my sister's wedding. Pulmonary embolism, massive, bilateral. Someone dialed 911. My mother intercepted the call. "She's faking it for attention," she told the dispatcher. "I'm a physician. Stand down." Then she hung up. I heard every word before my heart stopped. My mother is Dr. Ellen Whitmore Jackson, Chief of Internal Medicine at Michigan Medicine. 135 guests watched her do this. 21 heard exactly what she said. I coded twice before the ambulance finally came. 8-minute delay. I woke up 3 days later in the ICU and called one person, my sister Sophie, the golden child, the anesthesiologist, the one who'd always been enough. She sent me a file. 47 pages. It was Mom's. What I found inside didn't just explain that night. It explained the last 6 years of my life. That's when I understood. She didn't just let me die. She'd been killing me slowly all along. If you've ever been dismissed by the one person who should have protected you, hit like right now. Subscribe if you want to know how this ends. This story gets much worse. I need to take you back 6 years. April 2020. I was sitting at our family dinner table in Ann Arbor when I got the last rejection letter. Medical school, 12th school, 12th no, Stanford, Johns Hopkins, University of Michigan, Northwestern, Duke, WashU, Yale, Columbia, Penn, Harvard, UCSF, Vanderbilt. All of them said no. My MCAT was 519 out of 528, top 5% in the country. My GPA was 3.89. I had hospital volunteer hours, research experience, a letter from my organic chemistry professor calling me the most dedicated pre-med student I've taught in 17 years. I had everything except one thing: acceptance. Mom didn't look at me during dinner that night. She cut her chicken into perfect squares. Sophie, my older sister, 34 years old, already in her anesthesiology residency, reached across the table. "Maybe next cycle?" she said. Her voice was kind. It made it worse. "Your MCAT was good, Lisa," Mom said. She said it the way she'd say a patient's blood pressure was acceptable, clinical, distant. But maybe medicine just isn't for everyone. I remember the pause before that last word. Everyone. Like I was part of a category. The ones who tried and couldn't handle it. Dad, Paul, retired pharmacist, 28 years at University of Michigan Hospital Pharmacy, nodded. He always nodded when Mom spoke. "There are other healthcare paths," he said. "Good, honest work." I didn't ask Mom if she'd written my recommendation letters. She'd volunteered to write them back in June 2019 when I was submitting applications. I'd been grateful. I thought having the chief of internal medicine at Michigan Medicine as my recommender would help. I stopped asking questions that night. I stopped asking a lot of things when it came to my mother. 3 months later, I enrolled in paramedic training, Detroit Fire Department EMS program, 1,800 hours. Aggressive timeline, but I'd already done most of the prerequisites during my pre-med track. By June 2021, I was hired. Station 17, east side of Detroit. I moved to Detroit then. 45 minutes from Ann Arbor. 45 minutes from the family who saw me as the one who couldn't cut it. My first solo shift was September 14th, 2021. 3 a.m. call. Cardiac arrest, 56-year-old male. I ran the code, intubated him in the back of the rig while my partner drove, got return of spontaneous circulation at the hospital entrance. He walked out of the ICU 2 weeks later. I saved his life. My family didn't ask about it. When I told them at Sunday dinner, I still drove back for Sunday dinners then. Mom said, "That's nice, honey." Sophie said, "Wow, that's intense." Then they went back to talking about Sophie's daughter's preschool application. To the University of Michigan's lab school, of course. Legacy admission. Sophie's husband Ian is a neurosurgeon. Their daughter was already following the path. I kept count after that first save. 412 emergency codes in 6 years. 73 cardiac arrests with documented survival. 12 pulmonary embolisms I recognized before hospital confirmation. The Detroit fire chief sent me a commendation letter in March 2024. Officer Jackson demonstrates exceptional clinical judgment and rapid decision-making under pressure. I didn't show it to my family. I knew what Mom would say. She'd say I was doing good work. She wouldn't say she was proud. See, in our family, there were doctors, and there was everyone else. Sophie was a doctor. Mom was a doctor. Ian was a doctor. I was in emergency services. I heard Mom introduce me to her colleagues once. We were at a Michigan medicine fundraiser. I'd driven up from Detroit because Dad asked me to. "This is my younger daughter," Mom said. There was a pause. 2 seconds. "She's in emergency services." That pause was the space where doctor should have been. I stopped going to fundraisers after that. But I kept going to family dinners. I kept answering when Mom called. I kept trying to be enough, even though I knew I never would be. In August 2024, my left calf started hurting, swelling. I stood long shifts, 12 hours, sometimes 16 when we were short-staffed. I figured it was occupational, but I'm a paramedic. I know what deep vein thrombosis looks like. I know it's a ticking time bomb. I called Mom, August 23, 2024, 7:18 p.m. I have it logged in my notes app because I started documenting our conversations after that. Not because I suspected anything, because I doubted myself. I wanted to remember what she said so I could follow her medical advice correctly. "Mom, my left leg is swelling. Calf is 2 inches bigger than the right. It's warm. I think it might be DVT." Her voice was calm. "Are you standing a lot on your shifts?" "Yeah, but..." "Anxiety can cause muscle tension, Lisa. Stress manifests physically. Have you tried yoga?" "Mom, I know what DVT feels like. I've run codes on patients who threw clots. Should I get an ultrasound?" "Lisa." She said my name like I was a child asking if monsters were real. "You're not a doctor." "I am. It's not DVT. You're standing too long and you're stressed. Compression socks? Ibuprofen? Try to relax." I bought compression socks the next day. The pain decreased slightly. I thought maybe she was right. She'd been practicing medicine for 32 years. I'd been a paramedic for 3. September 2024. The pain came back. I called her. November 2024. Shortness of breath climbing stairs. I called her. "Deconditioning," she said. "You need more cardio." January 2025. Chest tightness during a particularly stressful shift. I called her. "Anxiety. You're in a high-stress job. Consider therapy." I didn't call as much after that, but when I did, June 2025, October 2025, January 2026, her answer was always the same. Anxiety, stress, health anxiety, overwork. On January 15th, 2026, she sent me a text. I still have it. "Lisa, I'm concerned about your health anxiety. This is the 6th time you've called about vague symptoms. I think you need to see a therapist, not a cardiologist." I made an appointment with a therapist. I went twice. The therapist asked me to describe my symptoms. When I did, she said, "Have you seen a doctor about this? These don't sound psychological to me." I told her my mom was a doctor. My mom said it was anxiety. The therapist didn't push it. Neither did I. By February 2026, I'd stopped calling Mom about my symptoms. I started wondering if maybe I really was just anxious. Maybe 6 years of being the family failure had made me paranoid about my health. Maybe I was catastrophizing. That's what gaslighting does. It makes you distrust your own expertise. February 8th, 2026. Sophie's wedding. I drove from Detroit to Ann Arbor that morning. Left at 9 a.m. My leg hurt. I took 800 milligrams of ibuprofen and told myself to stop being dramatic. The venue was the University of Michigan League. Historic building, elegant, exactly the kind of place where a doctor marries another doctor in front of 135 guests from Michigan's medical elite. 18 department heads, 12 residency directors, 2 state medical board members, 45 physicians total, 22 academic faculty. The rest were family and friends, but mostly friends who were also in medicine. I was a bridesmaid. Burgundy dress, size 8. I'd ordered it 3 months ago. Now it was tight around my waist. I was bloated. My left calf measured 2 inches larger than my right that morning. I knew because I measured it. Old habit from paramedic training. Assess, document, compare. Classic DVT sign. I zipped up the dress at 11:30 a.m. I couldn't breathe. I told myself it was nerves. Sophie was in the bridal suite with a makeup artist when I arrived. She looked radiant. She looked like the daughter Mom had always wanted both of us to be. "You look beautiful," Sophie said when she saw me. Then her smile faded slightly. "Are you okay? You seem out of breath." "I'm fine," I said. "Just nervous for you." It was a lie. I was lying because I didn't want to ruin her day. I was lying because Mom had told me 6 times that my symptoms weren't real. I was lying because I'd learned to doubt my own body. Mom walked in. She was wearing champagne silk. Elegant. Authoritative. She looked at me the way she'd look at a patient chart with concerning values. "You look tired, Lisa," she said. "Are you getting enough sleep? Stress shows on your face." She didn't ask if I felt okay, just commented on my appearance. The ceremony started at 2 p.m. I walked down the aisle. My leg throbbed with every step. I saw 135 faces. Most of them were strangers in metaphorical white coats. Medical professionals who'd known Sophie since she was a med student, who'd watched her become the perfect doctor-daughter. Sophie stood at the altar with Ian. They looked like what success was supposed to look like. The officiant said something about marriage being built on trust and honesty and seeing each other truly. I thought, our family has none of those things. The ceremony lasted 22 minutes. I stood the entire time. Bridesmaids don't sit. By minute 18, my vision blurred. I put my hand on my chest. Shortness of breath. I told myself it was emotion. It wasn't emotion. It was hypoxia. Across the room, I saw a woman watching me. Table 8. I'd met her during the rehearsal dinner. Dr. Rachel Simmons, ER nurse for 19 years. She mouthed, "You okay?" I nodded. Another lie. The reception started at 3:45 p.m. Mom gave a toast. She talked about both my girls in medicine. Sophie, the anesthesiologist, the healer, the one who followed in her footsteps, and then she paused. 2 full seconds. "And Lisa," Mom said. "Well, Lisa found her own path. Different, but she's here." Polite laughter from 135 guests. I counted the applause. 8 people clapped after Lisa found her own path. 127 clapped after, "Sophie, you've made me so proud." I excused myself to the bathroom. I sat on the toilet and pulled up my left pant leg under the dress. My calf was dark red, swollen, hot to the touch. I thought, I should go to the ER. Then I thought, Mom said it's anxiety. She's the chief of internal medicine. I'm just a paramedic. I'm probably overreacting. I went back to table 12, the table farthest from the head table. I was seated with a cousin who sells insurance, and Sophie's college roommate who teaches high school biology, the non-medical table. My cousin asked if I was okay. I said yes. Doctor. Rachel Simmons was still watching me from table 8. 3:52 p.m. I tried to eat. I couldn't. The chest pain was worsening, a tightness that felt like someone had wrapped steel bands around my ribcage and was pulling them tighter, tighter, tighter. I knew these symptoms. I'd run this code 400 times on strangers. Pulmonary embolism, a blood clot in the lungs, fatal in minutes without intervention. But I couldn't be having a PE. Mom said my symptoms were anxiety. Mom said I was catastrophizing. Mom said I needed therapy, not a cardiologist. 4:15 p.m. cake cutting. Sophie came to table 12, asked me to help. I stood up. The room tilted. Lise. Sophie's voice sounded far away. I thought, not here, not now, not at Sophie's wedding. I took a step toward the cake table, then another. Each step felt like walking through water. My vision tunneled. Everything went gray at the edges except Sophie's face, her white dress, the cake with its perfect sugar flowers. I opened my mouth to say, I need help. What came out was a gasp. Then I was falling. I heard screaming. Distant. Muffled. Was it mine? 4:17 p.m. I know the timestamp because a wedding videographer was filming. The footage was later subpoenaed. I was on the floor. I couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't breathe. My chest was being crushed. This is a PE, I thought. Massive. Bilateral. I have maybe 2 minutes before I code. I need to tell someone. I saw James Morton from table 5 pull out his phone, heard him say, Yes. 911? I'm at the University of Michigan League. We have a medical... Mom crossed the room in 4 seconds. Took the phone from his hand. I was on the floor, dying, but I could hear her. Every word. This is Dr. Ellen Whitmore Jackson, Chief of Internal Medicine at Michigan Medicine, she said into the phone. Her voice was calm, professional. I'm on scene. The patient is my daughter. She has a history of anxiety and attention-seeking behavior. This is not a medical emergency. Do not send an ambulance. 21 people heard her say it. I know because 21 people later signed statements. Then she hung up. I tried to say, Mom, I'm dying. Nothing came out. My heart was racing. 142 beats per minute, then slower, then irregular. Then it stopped. I coded. Ian, Sophie's neurosurgeon husband, started CPR. I felt ribs crack. Heard Sophie screaming. Saw Mom standing 6 feet away, arms crossed. Dr. Rachel Simmons from table 8 ran over. Pulled out her phone. What are you doing? Mom asked. Calling 911, Rachel said. I already handled it. With respect, doctor, Rachel said. I'm calling anyway. 4:19 p.m. Rachel's voice, firm and clear. I'm an ER nurse. I'm at the University of Michigan League. 28-year-old female, unresponsive, cyanotic, no pulse, suspected massive PE. Send EMS now. Mom's voice in the background. She doesn't have authority to... Rachel. Operator, please send the ambulance. Patient is coding. The ambulance was dispatched at 4:19:58 p.m., 8 minutes after I collapsed. 8 minutes that could have killed me. I coded again. 4:21 p.m. My heart stopped for 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Ian kept doing compressions. 47 seconds until they got me back. I coded a third time. 4:24 p.m. 1 minute, 12 seconds. Resuscitated. 3 physicians from table 6 approached to help. Mom waved them off. I'm her mother and her physician, she said. I'll handle this. She wasn't handling anything. She was watching me die. Ian looked at her. Ellen, she's in full arrest. Where's the damn ambulance? I told them not to come, Mom said. This is a family matter. She's dying. The paramedics arrived at 4:27:51 p.m., 10 minutes and 48 seconds after I collapsed. I recognized one of them. Derek Chen. We'd worked a multi-casualty incident together in 2023. He saw me on the floor, saw Ian doing compressions, saw Mom standing there. "Who told dispatch to stand down?" he asked. "I did," Mom said. "I'm her mother. I'm a physician." Derek looked at her for one long second. Then he looked at Ian. "Step back, doctor. We're taking her." They loaded me into the ambulance, 4:29 p.m. My oxygen saturation was 78%. Normal is 95 to 100. At 80, brain damage starts. At 75, cardiac arrest is imminent. They intubated me in the rig. 4:31 p.m. I coded again during line placement in the ER fourth time. They resuscitated me. The last thing I heard before the world went black was Mom's voice, talking to someone in the hallway. She's always been dramatic. I woke up on February 11th, 2026. Tuesday, 6:42 a.m. There was a tube in my throat. I couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't understand where I was or what had happened or how much time had passed. A nurse saw my eyes open. She pressed a call button. "She's awake," she said. Within minutes, a doctor arrived. Dr. Ahmed Hassan, pulmonologist. He looked at me with the kind of professional concern I recognized from my own work. "Lisa," he said, "you're in the ICU at University of Michigan Hospital. You've been here 3 days. You had a massive pulmonary embolism. You coded 4 times. But you're here. You made it." They extubated me at 8:14 a.m. My throat felt like I'd swallowed broken glass. Dr. Hassan explained, "Bilateral massive PE, D-dimer over 5,000. Normal is under 500. Saddle embolus, the worst kind. Survival rate for this severity, 15%. "You're very lucky," he said. "If the ambulance had been delayed another 3 minutes, you wouldn't have made it." My voice was barely a whisper. "It was delayed. My mom told 911 not to come." His face changed. "What?" The nurse, her name was Sarah Chen, I learned later, looked at Dr. Hassan, then at me. "Lisa," she said carefully, "do you know what your mother said to 911? "She said I was faking." Sarah's face tightened. "There were witnesses," she said. "A lot of them." Over the next hour, they told me what had happened, the codes, the 8-minute delay. The fact that Dr. Rachel Simmons had to make a second 911 call because my mother hung up on the first one. At 11 a.m., Sarah asked me a question that made my chest hurt worse than the PE. "Lise, I need to ask, did your mother know you'd been having symptoms? Leg pain? Shortness of breath?" "Yes," I said. "I told her for 18 months. She said it was anxiety." Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then, "That's medical neglect?" I started crying then. Not because I was surprised, because someone finally believed me. "Your sister's been here every day," Sarah said. "Your mom and dad came once, for 11 minutes. They didn't stay." 11 minutes. In 3 days, my mother visited her daughter in the ICU for 11 minutes. Sophie came at 2 p.m. She'd been at the hospital every afternoon, Sarah told me, but the ICU only allowed one visitor at a time, and Sophie had been deferring to Ian when he came by after his OR cases. When Sophie walked in, she started crying immediately. She pulled a chair to my bedside and took my hand. "Lisa, I'm so sorry," she said. "I didn't know Mom hung up on 911 until after. Ian told me. I'm horrified. I should have seen it. I should have—" "Did you know I'd been telling Mom about symptoms?" I asked. Sophie's crying stopped. "What?" "For 18 months. Leg pain, swelling, shortness of breath. I called her 6 times. She said it was anxiety." She never told me, Sophie whispered. Why didn't you tell me? Because you're the golden child, I said. It came out harsher than I meant. You've never had to doubt Mom's medical judgment. Sophie was silent. Then, do you think Mom wanted you to die? I couldn't answer that question. I still can't. Before Sophie left, I asked her something I'd been thinking about since I woke up. Did Mom write my medical school recommendation letters? Sophie nodded. Yes. She insisted. She said it would look better coming from a physician mother. My stomach dropped. Can you find them? Lisa, please. I need to know why I got rejected from every school. I had a 519 MCAT. I had a 3.89 GPA. What did Mom write? Sophie looked at me for a long time. You think she sabotaged you? I think she needed me to fail so I'd always be less than you, I said. Check her files, please. If I find something. Sophie's voice broke. Lisa, this will destroy our family. Our family was destroyed the moment Mom chose her ego over my life. Sophie left. She didn't promise anything, but I knew she'd look. I waited. February 12th passed. February 13th. I tried to process what had happened, tried to understand how a mother could do that to her daughter. Dr. Hassan came by every day. On February 13th, I told him about the 18 months of symptoms. He pulled up my chart, my actual patient chart, because Mom had been my formal primary care physician since 2018. You're listed as having Dr. Ellen Whitmore Jackson as your PCP, he said. Yes. I thought it was normal. She's my mom and a doctor. It's a conflict of interest, Dr. Hassan said quietly. Let me see your records. He was appalled. 6 documented visits for leg pain, swelling, shortness of breath, chest tightness. Each time, Mom had noted the symptoms. Each time, her assessment was the same. Anxiety, stress, recommend therapy. No imaging ordered, no D-dimer, no ultrasound, no CT. Nothing. Lisa, Dr. Hassan said, as a paramedic, you know the warning signs of PE. You reported them to a physician, your mother. She documented them, but didn't act. That's not just bad parenting, that's negligence. She's chief of internal medicine, I said, which makes it worse. He hesitated. Then, if you need me to testify, I will. Comment file if you want to know what was inside Mom's file. February 13th, 11:03 p.m. I was lying in my ICU bed, unable to sleep, when my phone buzzed. Email from Sophie. Subject line. I'm sorry. One attachment, 47 pages. PDF titled Lisa_medschool_file_2020.pdf. There was a message before the attachment. I found them. I'm so sorry, Lisa. I didn't know any of this. Call me when you're ready. I love you. S. I opened the file at 11:07 p.m. The first 3 pages were letters. Recommendation letters Mom had written to medical schools in June and July 2019. I started with the first one, Stanford School of Medicine, dated June 18th, 2019. Mom's letterhead. Ellen Whitmore Jackson, MD, Chief of Internal Medicine, Michigan Medicine. The letter started well. Lisa Jackson is my daughter, and I write this recommendation with both pride and concern. She is intelligent and hardworking. Her academic record speaks for itself. Then I got to the final paragraph. However, I must note, in good conscience, that Lisa has demonstrated emotional instability and difficulty handling high-pressure situations. I believe she lacks the emotional regulation required for the demands of medical school and clinical practice. I cannot, in good faith, recommend her for admission without reservation. I read it 3 times. Emotional instability, difficulty handling pressure, lacks emotional regulation. I'd never had emotional instability. I'd never failed under pressure. I was a paramedic who ran 400 emergency codes without falling apart. She made it up. She made all of it up. The second letter was to Johns Hopkins, dated June 24th, 2019. Nearly identical. Same praise in the first paragraphs. Same poison pill at the end, but this one had an addition. I worry that Lisa's temperament is not suited for the rigors of medicine. She has shown patterns of overreacting to stress and seeking validation through academic achievement rather than genuine passion for healing. Additionally, there is family history of anxiety disorders that may impact her ability to cope with the demands of medical training. Family history of anxiety disorders. That was a lie. No one in our family has diagnosed anxiety. She fabricated a psychiatric history to make me look unstable. The third letter destroyed me. University of Michigan. My top choice. Legacy status. Both my parents had connections there. Dated July 2nd, 2019. As both Lisa's mother and a faculty member at Michigan Medicine, I feel obligated to share that she is not ready for medical school. Her emotional immaturity and need for external validation suggest she is pursuing medicine to please me, not because she has the calling. I recommend rejection, with possibility of reconsideration in 3 to 5 years if she demonstrates significant personal growth. I remembered what Mom told me in June 2019. I put in a good word for you at Michigan. Your legacy. You'll get in. She lied. She put in the kiss of death. The next 41 pages were my patient chart, medical records from September 2024 to February 2026. Every visit, every phone call, every symptom I'd reported. August 23, 2024. Patient reports left leg pain, swelling. Exam. Mild edema noted. Assessment. Muscle strain from occupational standing. Recommendation. Compression socks. Ibuprofen. No imaging indicated. November 10, 2024. Patient reports SOB with exertion. Exam. Lungs clear. Assessment. Deconditioning. Possible anxiety. Recommendation. Cardio exercise. Stress management. No further workup. January 15, 2026. Patient reports recurrent leg pain, chest tightness. 6th visit for vague somatic complaints. Assessment. Health anxiety. Somatic symptom disorder. Strong recommendation for psychiatric evaluation. Patient resistant to mental health referral. 6 documented encounters. Classic DVT and PE symptoms every single time. Unilateral leg swelling. Pain. Warmth. Shortness of breath. Chest tightness. 0 imaging ordered. No D-dimer. No ultrasound. No CT. Nothing. Every diagnosis. Anxiety. The last entry was dated February 7th, 2026, the day before the wedding. Patient texted regarding leg swelling. Reiterated anxiety. Advised patient to focus on sister's wedding. Stop catastrophizing. No further contact needed. I finished reading at 2:34 a.m. I sat in my ICU bed and pieced it together. Mom sabotaged my medical school application so I would always be less than Sophie. Then she gaslit my symptoms for 18 months so I would doubt my own medical knowledge. Then she dismissed me at the wedding because saving me would mean admitting she was wrong. I said it out loud to the empty room. She needed me to fail, and when I survived anyway, she needed me to die. I called Sophie at 2:41 a.m. She answered groggy. Lisa? I said 6 words. I'm filing a formal complaint. Tomorrow. February 14th, 2026. Valentine's Day. The day I decided to fight back. A woman named Veronica Lange came to my ICU room at 10 a.m. medical malpractice attorney. 18 years of experience, 94% win rate. She'd read about my case in the Detroit Free Press. One of the wedding guests had leaked it to the media. Lisa, she said, this is one of the most clear-cut cases of medical negligence I've seen. Your mother had a duty of care. She breached it. You nearly died. The documentation is overwhelming. But I need to warn you. Suing your own mother, filing a board complaint. This will destroy your family. My family was destroyed the moment she hung up on 911, I said. Veronica offered to take my case pro bono. This case matters, she said. We're filing a complaint with the Michigan Board of Medicine. First step. Deadline is within 3 years of the incident, but sooner is better. I'm thinking February 20th, 12 days post-collapse. What do we need? Witnesses. Lots of them. Can you get the guest list? My sister can. Over the next 3 days, Sophie reached out to wedding guests. She explained what was happening, asked for statements. 21 people agreed to provide sworn affidavits. 8 physicians, 3 nurses, including Dr. Rachel Simmons, 2 medical school professors, 5 family friends, 3 non-medical guests. Every statement was 1 to 3 pages, notarized, detailing exact words heard, time observed, professional opinion. Dr. Marcus Holloway, Department Chair of Emergency Medicine, wrote, I was standing 4 feet from Dr. Jackson when she intercepted the 911 call. I heard her clearly state the patient was faking and had attention-seeking behavior. As an emergency physician with 23 years of experience, I can say this. What I witnessed was a physician using her credentials to obstruct care for a critical patient. It was unconscionable. The 21st statement came from someone unexpected. Dr. Patricia Nolan, Chief of Cardiology, Mom's colleague for 11 years. I have worked with Dr. Jackson for 11 years. What I saw at that wedding was inconsistent with the physician I thought I knew. I believe the medical board must investigate. Veronica also subpoenaed hospital records. She found 3 incident reports filed on February 9th by physicians who questioned Mom's judgment at the wedding. IR-2026-0289, filed by Dr. Ian Brennan, Sophie's husband. On February 8, 2026, at approximately 4:18 p.m., Dr. Ellen Jackson obstructed emergency medical response for a patient in cardiac arrest. Patient is her daughter. I, as a neurosurgeon, attempted to override her decision and request EMS doctor. Jackson stated she would handle it as the patient's physician. Patient coded twice before EMS arrived. This is a clear case of conflict of interest and failure of duty of care. IR-2026-0290, filed by Dr. Rachel Simmons. IR-2026-0291, filed by Dr. Ahmed Hassan. His report was different. He hadn't witnessed the wedding, but he'd reviewed my medical history. Medical review reveals patient presented with classic DVT and PE warning signs for 18 months. Treating physician, patient's mother, Dr. Ellen Jackson, documented symptoms but failed to order appropriate diagnostics. Obstruction of EMS at wedding combined with prior negligence nearly resulted in patient death. Recommend immediate investigation. All 3 reports had been flagged by hospital risk management, no action taken, likely because of Ellen's position as chief. The hospital tried to bury this, Veronica said, but these reports are admissible. They show institutional knowledge of wrongdoing. They protected her because she's powerful, I said. Not anymore. On February 18th, Sophie came to the ICU with a document in her hand, 4 pages, her witness statement. She read it to me. I am Dr. Sophie Jackson Brennan, daughter of Dr. Ellen Jackson and sister of Lise Jackson. On February 8, 2026, I witnessed my mother dismiss my sister's medical emergency as faking. I did not know until 3 days ago that my mother had sabotaged Lisa's medical school applications. I did not know my mother had been dismissing Lisa's symptoms for 18 months. I am ashamed I didn't see it. I am signing this statement because my sister deserves justice, and because medicine deserves better than physicians who abuse their power. I am prepared to testify under oath. I am prepared to lose my relationship with my mother. My sister almost died because I was complicit through silence. Not anymore. You're choosing me over Mom? I asked. I'm choosing the truth, Sophie said. I should have done it years ago. February 19th. Dad visited. First time since I'd woken up. He asked me to drop the complaint. This will ruin your mother's career, he said. Thousands of patients depend on her. Did you know she sabotaged my med school applications? I asked. His silence was the answer. Dad, did you know? He looked away. I thought she knew what was best for you. Get out. The visit lasted 7 minutes. He never asked how I was feeling, never said he was glad I was alive. He sent an email on February 21st. You're tearing this family apart. I hope you can live with that. I deleted it. February 20th, 2026, 9:17 a.m. Veronica filed the formal complaint with the Michigan Board of Medicine. Case number MB-2-026-1847. The complaint included the 47-page file, 21 witness statements, 3 hospital incident reports, my ICU records, and an expert opinion from Dr. Ahmed Hassan. Complainant Lisa Jackson alleges that respondent Dr. Ellen Whitmore Jackson engaged in 1. Medical negligence by failing to order appropriate diagnostic testing despite 18 months of documented symptoms consistent with deep vein thrombosis. 2. Obstruction of emergency medical care by using physician authority to prevent 911 response. 3. Conflict of interest by serving as primary care physician to family member. 4. Professional misconduct by making false statements to emergency services. Complainant requests suspension of medical license pending investigation, formal hearing, and disciplinary action. The complaint became public record the moment it was filed. Michigan Board of Medicine posts all complaints on their website. By noon, the story had hit the Detroit Free Press, the Ann Arbor News, and the Michigan Medicine Faculty listserv. By 2 p.m., I had 47 missed calls, 12 from blocked numbers, 8 from Mom, 6 from Dad. 21 from former colleagues, medical school classmates, and people I hadn't heard from in years saying, I believe you, and this happened to me too. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The next 4 minutes is where everything explodes. March 4th, 2026. The Michigan State Medical Board called an emergency preliminary hearing. They don't do this often, only when there's clear and immediate danger to the public. The hearing was held in Lansing. 12 board members present. 8 witnesses testified in person. Mom attended with her attorney. She refused to testify on advice of counsel. The press was allowed for public portions. I was there. Discharged from the hospital on February 22nd but still recovering. I sat in the gallery next to Veronica. The board chair, Dr. Evelyn Torres, opened the hearing. Dr. Jackson, this is not a family dispute. This is a physician who allegedly obstructed emergency care and failed to provide appropriate medical treatment to a patient. The fact that the patient is your daughter makes it worse, not better. You had multiple conflicts of interest and you proceeded anyway. During the first recess, Mom approached Sophie in the hallway. 6 people heard her. How could you betray me like this? Sophie's response was loud enough for everyone to hear. You betrayed her first, for 6 years. The first witness was Dr. Rachel Simmons. She testified for 23 minutes. She presented call logs from her phone showing the 911 call at 4:19:12 p.m. She described my physical presentation: cyanotic, unresponsive, no pulse. I have been an emergency nurse for 19 years, she said. I know what a pulmonary embolism looks like. I know what obstruction of care looks like. Dr. Jackson used her credentials as a weapon to prevent her daughter from receiving life-saving treatment. If I had not made that second 911 call, Lisa Jackson would be dead. I called because I took an oath to do no harm. Dr. Jackson forgot hers. Board member Dr. Kenneth Park asked, "In your professional opinion, did Dr. Jackson's actions constitute obstruction of care?" "Yes, unequivocally." Sophie testified next. 31 minutes. She entered the 47-page file as evidence, Exhibit D. She described finding it on Mom's computer. Realizing the scope of the sabotage, she broke down crying twice. The board allowed a 5-minute recess. Mom's attorney tried to discredit her as emotionally compromised. One of the board members, Dr. Sarah Lindstrom, snapped at him. "Her sister nearly died. Of course she's emotional." After Sophie finished describing the letters, the medical records, the pattern of dismissal, the board chair asked one question. "Dr. Brennan, do you believe your mother is fit to practice medicine?" Sophie looked at Mom, then at me, then back at the board. "No, I don't." Dr. Ahmed Hassan testified as an expert witness. 41 minutes. He walked the board through my medical records, explained how 18 months of symptoms were ignored, demonstrated that the standard of care was massively violated. He presented visual aids, a timeline of my symptoms alongside the standard diagnostic pathway. D-dimer test, ultrasound, CT if positive. Showed what Mom should have done versus what she actually did. Ms. Jackson reported classic symptoms of DVT and PE for 18 months. Any competent physician would have ordered a D-dimer test at minimum. It's a $50 blood test that takes 30 minutes. Dr. Jackson ordered nothing. Instead, she repeatedly diagnosed anxiety without psychiatric evaluation, without imaging, without appropriate differential diagnosis. This is not a borderline case. This is gross negligence. A board member asked, "Dr. Hassan, in your opinion, did Dr. Jackson's failure to diagnose constitute malpractice?" "It constitutes gross negligence with near-fatal outcome. Yes." He added one more thing. If Dr. Jackson had ordered a D-dimer in September 2024, Ms. Jackson's PE would have been caught early. She would have been treated with anticoagulation. The wedding collapse would never have happened. The board deliberated for 47 minutes. They returned at 6:42 p.m. Dr. Torres read the decision. The board finds sufficient evidence of gross negligence, conflict of interest, and obstruction of emergency care to warrant immediate suspension of Dr. Ellen Whitmore Jackson's medical license. This suspension is effective immediately and will remain in effect pending completion of full investigation. Dr. Jackson is prohibited from practicing medicine, prescribing medications, or representing herself as a physician in the state of Michigan until further notice. The vote was 11-1. The lone dissent cited family complexity. As Mom left the hearing room, reporters swarmed her. One asked, "Dr. Jackson, do you regret what you did?" Mom's response was caught on camera. "I did what I thought was right." No apology, no remorse. Veronica whispered to me, "That's all we need for the civil suit." Within 72 hours, Michigan Medicine announced Mom's resignation. Forced, obviously. They posted a statement on March 7th. Michigan Medicine has accepted Dr. Ellen Whitmore Jackson's resignation, effective immediately. We take allegations of medical misconduct seriously and are cooperating fully with the state medical board investigation. Patient safety is our highest priority. Between March 5th and 7th, 3 former patients filed formal complaints with the medical board, all women, ages 28 to 44, all presenting with pain conditions, all told anxiety, without appropriate workup. Jennifer Carlisle, 31 years old, undiagnosed endometriosis for 4 years, because Mom said her pelvic pain was psychological. She's infertile now because of the delay. The Detroit Free Press ran a story on March 8th. Headline, "Dr. Jackson's daughter wasn't her first victim, just her most public." I read it in my apartment in Detroit. I'd been home for 2 weeks. Physical therapy 3 times a week. Blood thinners for at least 6 months. Chronic increased clotting risk for the rest of my life. Mom didn't just almost kill me, she permanently changed my body. My parents' marriage fractured. Dad moved to the guest room on March 10th, then to a hotel on March 14th, then to his brother's house. Sophie stopped speaking to both parents, changed her daughter's pediatrician away from Mom's network. Started therapy 3 times a week with Dr. Linda Morrison, who specializes in family trauma. I blocked Mom's number on March 5th. Blocked Dad's on March 8th. Blocked 4 aunts and uncles who sided with Mom between March 9th and 12th. Sophie maintained contact only with me and Ian and their daughter. On March 12th, I received a certified letter from Mom's attorney. Cease and desist on defamatory statements. Moo. Veronica's response. Bring it. Discovery will be fun. By March 15th, 7 former patients had contacted Veronica, all with similar stories. Symptoms dismissed, told anxiety, years of suffering, conditions that worsened, combined years of suffering across those 7 women, 31 years. The medical board expanded their investigation on March 10th to include pattern of care violations. I met Jennifer Carlisle for coffee on March 16th. She cried when she saw me. "You saved my life by almost losing yours," she said. "If you hadn't filed that complaint, I'd still think I was crazy." I realized then, this was bigger than me. Sophie called me on March 18th. Thursday, 7 p.m. We'd started having weekly calls. "I'm in therapy 3 times a week," she said. "I'm realizing, Mom conditioned me to believe my worth came from being better than you. I built my whole identity on that lie. I'm so sorry, Lisa. I'm unlearning it. It's hard, but I'm trying." "Do you think we can have a real relationship now?" she asked. "Not golden child and scapegoat. Just sisters?" I was crying. "I like to try." March 20th, my final physical therapy session. The therapist cleared me for full-duty paramedic work. I felt terror and relief at the same time. I almost died doing this job, but it's who I am. The medical board investigation continues. Timeline: 6 to 12 months for full resolution. Possible outcomes: permanent license revocation, suspension with conditions, reprimand and monitoring, settlement. Veronica filed the civil suit on March 18th. Damages: medical bills plus emotional distress plus punitive damages. Trial date set for November 2026. "Lise, I want to prepare you," Veronica said on March 21st. "The board process is slow. We have momentum, but final disciplinary action could take a year. Your mom might get her license back with restrictions, or she might lose it permanently. I can't promise which." "I don't need her license revoked," I said. "I need the truth on record that's already happened." "Whatever happens with the license," I told her, "I already won. I got my voice back." March 22nd, 2026. My first shift back at Detroit Fire Department EMS Station 17, midnight, start of the overnight shift. My crew welcomed me like family. My partner, Jake Torres, brought coffee and donuts. "Jackson, you good to roll?" he asked. I suited up. "Yeah, I'm good." "You sure? No shame if you need more time." "I need this. Let's go." First call came at 3:14 a.m. dispatch. 52-year-old female, shortness of breath, apartment building, 1847 Woodward Avenue. 1847. Same numbers as my case number. MB-2026-1847. Coincidence. But it felt like a sign. We arrived on scene at 3:19 a.m. 5th floor walk-up. The patient was Catherine Morrison, 52 years old, lives alone, sitting on her couch, struggling to breathe. "Ma'am, I'm Lisa. I'm a paramedic. Can you tell me what's going on?" "I can't. Catch my breath," she said. Started an hour ago. I saw her left leg. Swollen. I'd seen this before. I'd lived this before. How long has your leg been swollen? 2 weeks. I saw my doctor. She said varicose veins. I felt her leg. Hot. Edematous. Checked her vital signs. Heart rate 118. Oxygen saturation 88%. Catherine, I need you to stay very still. Don't move. I think you have a blood clot in your lung. We're taking you to the hospital right now. Her eyes widened. How do you know? Because I had the same thing 6 weeks ago. You're going to be okay. I promise. In the ambulance, I ran an EKG, right heart strain, classic PE presentation. I called ahead to the ER. Incoming PE, needs CT angiography immediately. Catherine was looking at me. Have you seen this before? Yes, I said, and the patient survived. We got her to the ER at 3:41 a.m. Dr. Martinez was the attending. He rushed Catherine to CT massive bilateral pulmonary embolism, saddle embolus, same as mine. They started her on a heparin drip, admitted her to ICU at 4:52 a.m. D-dimer was 6,200, critically high. Dr. Martinez found me in the ambulance bay afterward. Lisa, how did you catch this so fast? I almost died from the same thing, I said. I'll never miss it again. Your clinical judgment just saved her life. I thought about what Mom had said, that I wasn't cut out for medicine, that I lacked the judgment required. Your mom was wrong, Dr. Martinez said, like he could read my mind. Maybe he could. Maybe everyone in Michigan medicine had heard the story by now. I sat in the ambulance after the call. 5:30 a.m. Texted Sophie. I just saved someone with a PE. Same thing that almost killed me. I think I finally understand why I'm still here. Sophie replied immediately. She'd been awake. Lisa, you just saved someone from the thing that almost killed you. Do you see? You didn't take the wrong path. You took the path that made you the person who could recognize suffering because you lived through it. Mom tried to destroy you, but you became a healer anyway. I'm so proud to be your sister. End of shift. 8 a.m. I drove home. 45 minutes on I-94. Sunrise over Detroit. I passed the exit for Ann Arbor, the exit that led to Michigan medicine, to Mom's office, to the family home where I'd spent 28 years trying to be enough. I didn't feel anything when I passed it. Just kept driving. I got home at 9 a.m., slept for 5 hours. Woke up to a message from Catherine Morrison's daughter. Thank you for saving my mom. People ask me if I've forgiven my mother. I haven't. Maybe I never will. But I've forgiven myself for believing her lies. I've forgiven myself for doubting my own expertise. I've forgiven myself for taking 6 years to see the truth. And that's enough. Your medical knowledge is valid even if you don't have doctor in front of your name. Your pain is real even if your own mother says it isn't. And sometimes the wrong path is the only one that leads you to who you were always meant to be. My name is Lise Jackson. I'm 28 years old. I'm a paramedic with the Detroit Fire Department. And I've run 401 codes now. I saved someone's life today. That's enough.